Welcome back to JOTO Show. I'm your host, Jay Lakers and Tony Baloney.
What's up, everybody? It's episode 6 of the JOTO Show. Let's just get straight into it.
What's going on Sports World?
Well, to start off, Jets have parted ways with Robert Saleh. He has been fired after starting 2-3 with the Jets.
Really?
Yeah. Um, he is the first head coach to get the boot this season. Not the guy I had in mind to be the first one to
How
get
long
booted.
he's been chess coach?
He's been the coach for like 4 years now, I think.
Oh,
Maybe less
damn.
than that. It's like
Dang.
3 or 4 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So, defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich will be taking over as interim head coach.
Really?
Yeah.
Moving on. I don't know what's next. Oh, yeah. Jacksonville was 0-4, and
Let's see what happened.
they're 1-4 now.
They finally won a game. Oh,
And,
Jacksonville must feel nice to have finally won a game.
yeah. And moving on.
Yeah, but we move on to our prime time games. We have 3 night games and 1 game we'll also mention in a second. Starting off, though, we have Thursday Night Football, where the Buccaneers lost to the Atlanta Falcons in overtime. This so far has been the best Thursday Night Football game we've seen this season, and it might be the best one we've seen all season, depending on how these next few go.
Yep.
Um, Kirk Cousins was breaking records. He had the most passing yards in a single game for a Falcon, which, in case you don't know who that belongs to Matt Ryan. Well, what makes this part funny is the fact that Matt Ryan had his Ring of Honor during this game,
Nice.
and Kirk Cousins said, "Let me break your passing yards record." So Kirk Cousins finished with 509 yards, 42 of 58, 4 touchdowns, and 1 interception, while his opponent, Baker Mayfield, only had 180, 3 touchdowns, but he did have 42 rushing yards, which is pretty good. 19 for 24 on the passing.
Wow.
Yep. Now we move on to London. This was another game that we had that wasn't in the afternoon for Sunday.
That was
So
early
we
in the
put it
morning.
in the
It
prime.
was
Yeah, it was
it was 9:30 my time.
9:30 Eastern. So
Yep.
you can imagine I had to be up at 6:30 if I wanted to watch this game.
I didn't watch it. I didn't feel like get up.
I
Wait,
woke
no,
up at
I
like
was awake. I should watch it.
I woke up really early that night or that morning, so I just put it on. But I think I fell back asleep before 10, and then woke up before 10 to watch the rest of the football. But yeah, Aaron Rodgers or Sam Darnold. Aaron Rodgers was a bad game. 244 yards, 29 for 54. So not bad stats when you first look at it. 2 touchdowns, pretty good stats, right?
Yep.
But then he had 3 interceptions,
Oh God,
which
not good.
in his 20 years of playing in the league, this is only his 6th time that he's thrown 3 interceptions in a game. And also, this is only the 5th time he's ever thrown a pick 6.
Wow.
Yeah. As
That's
for former Jets QB Sam Darnold, He had 179 yards, no touchdowns, one interception, 14 of 31 passing. But pretty good game for his team. So yeah.
Moving on to the next Sunday night
Next
football.
game yep.
I was watching some of this game
Yeah.
off my phone.
Um yeah, there was a delay before
Yep.
this game due to the weather. So it was like an hour long of a delay, which was crazy.
It didn't start till like 9:45 my time.
Yeah, and to put it and make it worse, it didn't end till like 1 in the morning your time either.
Yeah, I was like, oh boy, 20-17.
Note
Dooney.
that happened this game. TJ Watt got his 100th career sack, which makes him the second fastest player to do it. Behind Reggie White, who did it in 96 games, while TJ Watt did it in 109. So
Wow.
yeah, that was the main takeaway from this game. For the Steelers, but for the Cowboys, their main takeaway was the fact that they came back to win this thing after being down 4 near the end of the fourth.
Wow.
With the help of Dak Prescott, who finished the game with 352 yards, 29 of 42 on that passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, which is reminds me of another funny stat that Dak Prescott might be the only guy to ever have this stat in the history of the league from the past and even in the future. He is the only quarterback to throw 2 interceptions in the same game, but different days.
Wow. Not what? That's crazy.
He threw one like at 10 p.m. Pittsburgh time, I believe, or whenever he threw that first one, it was still the day prior, and then he threw one at a little past midnight Pittsburgh time. So technically, he threw 2 interceptions in 2 different days, but the same game.
Wow.
Yeah. As for the Steelers QB, Justin Fields, he had 131 yards, 27 attempts, 15 completions, 2 touchdowns.
Nice.
And
Your
to finish off our primetime games, yeah, Monday Night Football, we had obviously New Orleans losing here 13-26. Derek Carr did get injured in this game. We'll talk more about injuries later on. And yeah, he finished the game with 165 yards, 18 of 28, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And his backup who came in, Jake Hayner, had 17 yards in 7 attempts, but only 2 completions. As for Patrick Mahomes,
homie.
he had 331 yards, 28 of 39, no touchdowns, and 1 interception.
Moving on.
We
Okay.
have our Sunday afternoon games. Have a few games to talk about. Total of 10 games to talk about. We'll go 5 and 5.
And
Trying a new way of showing this.
yep, explain what you did this way.
Yeah. So basically I just put the picture of the game, the score. Those images are from NFL's Instagram. So obviously like to mention that. And then whichever team won, I took their main color and I just put that as their background as a little stripe. So let's get started with the top. We're gonna go from top row and then bottom. We're gonna go all top row and then the bottom 2. So let's start with the Bears hosting the Carolina Panthers, winning 36-10. Not really much to talk about this game. Obviously, Caleb got a great win. Threw 2 touchdowns, 304 yards, 20 for 29. The game got so bad they actually subbed Bryce Young back in for the Panthers after Andy Dalton had 136 yards, no touchdowns, one interception on 18 for 28 passing.
They lost back to back now.
They have lost back to back. Bryce Young, yeah, came in 58 yards, only 7 attempts, 4 completions. So, you know, it was kind of garbage time. Moving on now, we have the Commanders hosting the Browns and winning 34-13. Jaden Daniels honestly might be taking the cake here for offensive rookie of the year, and it might not even be close. He's playing out of his mind recently. This game was a pretty good game. He had 238 yards, 14 of 25, 1 touchdown, but he also did have 1 interception. As for his opponent on the Browns, Deshaun Watson, he had 125 yards, 15 of 28 passing, and only 1 touchdown. And then we got the Miami Dolphins going over to New England and winning 15-10. This game made me kind of realize like maybe the Dolphins don't need to win games, but probably not because they only beat the Patriots by 5. But still a good game for Huntley and the Dolphins. He had 194 yards, no touchdowns, 1 interception, 18 of 31. Jacoby Brissett had 160 yards, 18 of 34 with no touchdowns, but also no interceptions. And after this week, there has been reports that Drake May will be starting next week for the Patriots. The young guy gets to get some regular season reps.
That's good.
Then we had the Jacksonville Jaguars, as mentioned in the beginning of our show, getting their first win
By 3. Wow.
by 3 while hosting the Indianapolis Colts. As we mentioned, they finally got their win, and it must feel great. There was a play that happened. I forgot what the exact moment was or like the context of it. But there's a play where a Colts defender is trying to tackle a Jags player and he just completely misses. Yeah, so the Colts defender, I'll put the picture up. Editor Tony, put the picture up because it's a really funny picture. He has a tackle that honestly could be put in the Will Levis Hall of Fame type of play because the Titans, as mentioned previously, did have a bye week. Last week we mentioned that they're gonna have a bye week this week. So we couldn't have anything happen with Will Levis, so we had to look for the next best thing, and I believe this play right here was definitely up there. We'll talk about another one later on too, because there was a couple actually. But getting to the stats from this game, Joe Flacco, who replaced Anthony Richardson due to Anthony having that injury last week, he had 359 yards, 33 for 44 on the passing, and 3 touchdowns. Pretty good game for him. But it wasn't enough to defeat Trevor Lawrence, who had 371 yards, 28 for 34 passing, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
Tony the editor, yeah, what to edit.
Thanks, man. And to finish off our first page here, we had the Buffalo Bills going over to Houston and losing 20-23 in a close match between Josh Allen and CJ Stroud. Statistic wise, this was not a close match. If you just looked at stats between the two quarterbacks, Josh Allen had 131 yards, 9 passes completed out of 30. That is the lowest percentage a QB has thrown
Wow.
with a minimum of 30 passes. Hey, but at least one of those passes went for a touchdown. Finished the game with 1 touchdown for him.
Yeah.
As for CJ Stroud, he had Instead of 131 yards, he had 331. He had 28 completions on 38 attempts, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So yeah, pretty good game for him and the Texans. Josh Allen did get tweaked up a little bit injury wise around the ankle and head areas. But yeah.
Moving on. If you're out Sunday Avenue games.
You want to start?
Yeah. Yep, the Bengals, Ravens came to Cincinnati Bengals, beat the Bengals 41-38 in overtime. We'll put the picture up the way how the Bengals was kicked, how they had the football. Tony, put the picture up. Thank you. Lost at 41-38. We're 0-1 in conference now.
Yeah. One thing I noticed from this game though, Joe Burrow is probably the best 1-4 quarterback in the league right now. The best quarterback statistically with the one of the worst records.
Is this like the
Actually,
second time he played against Marsh Actions? Or whatever? Or a third time?
career, yeah.
Career wise.
I think the second actually only.
Because I remember
Because
the one year
I
he
know.
wasn't in the playoffs. The
Yeah, that
the
wasn't
Ravens
Lamar that
were.
time.
The Ravens were. The Bengals. That's the one we went to the Super Bowl that year with Joe and lost it.
Mm-hmm. It's either 2 or 3. Editor Tony, put up the number right here. Thanks. Making him work overtime.
Editor Tony is working hard adding these
Yep.
videos for you guys.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Editor Tony. You know what, Editor Tony, to make your life harder, put a random picture that you have in your gallery that will make people laugh if they look. That's a pretty funny picture.
Yeah.
But to finish off this Ravens game, because we just been yapping this whole time, Lamar Jackson had 348 yards, 26 of 42, and 4 touchdowns. So both of these guys had amazing games statistically, but one team had to lose.
Yeah.
Sadly, it had to be the Bengals.
Not the way I expected the game. And if you're a Bengals fan, you don't want that to happen to the end.
Yeah.
If you're a Ravens fan, you're happy that happened.
Yeah. But moving on now, we had the Las Vegas Raiders losing to the Denver Broncos here, 18-34. This ended a win streak that the Raiders had against the Broncos, winning 8 straight games against them.
Jeez.
So Broncos got their first win since 2019, or not even actually 2018, I think. While they were still in Oakland, I believe.
When they were open.
Yeah, that's how long it's been since the Broncos beat the Raiders. Bo Nix had 206 yards, 19 of 27, and 2 touchdowns. As for the opposition in the Raiders side, Gardner Minshew had 137 yards, 12 of 17, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions, which inevitably got him benched for Aiden O'Connell,
I
throwing
just
10 of 20.
noticed that's the old logo for the Broncos on their helmets.
Oh yeah, they were wearing their old uniforms. It was pretty good uniforms. But yeah, Aiden O'Connell, 94 yards, 10 for 20, no touchdowns, 1 interception, which was a little tip drill type of interception, where honestly it could have been anyone's ball, but it ended up being the Broncos to get the interception. And then there's this game.
Uh,
The Arizona Cardinals went to Levi's Stadium and defeated the San Francisco 49ers 24-23.
at least that game was so lower than the Bengals game.
Well, it was worse because the Niners blew it. They had a 10-point lead at the start of the fourth. This
Bengals
is
had a big time week too.
yes, but this is the first time under Kyle Shanahan that the Niners have lost while leading by 10 or more in the fourth quarter. If we've had a double-digit lead heading into the fourth, we were guaranteed to win based off history of the record. But props to Kyler Murray and co. He had 195 yards, 19 of 30, one touchdown, one interception, and including a big rushing touchdown that he was already celebrating when he was at the 44-yard line. As for Brock Purdy, he had 244 yards, 19 of 35, one touchdown, and two interceptions. The last interception being the game sealer, which got tipped into the air and was basically a punt to the Cardinals
It's
with how easy he caught it.
different than our game.
Yeah, you guys lost to a mistake from the O-line. We lost because their D-line just tipped the ball up and their defense just locked in and got an interception.
Yeah, field goal to win the game, cost of the game.
Yep. Moving on now, we had the New York Giants going over to Seattle and actually beating the Seahawks 29-20. In this game, we had a field goal attempt from the Seahawks that got blocked. I'll put a picture. Editor Tony will put a picture up here where
Dude,
the Giants
Elder
defender.
Tony's working hard.
Yeah. Yeah. So in this picture, you can see the Giants defender leaped over the Seahawks O line, perfectly timed it, blocked the field goal, and
That's
fellow
one.
Giants defender.
That's a one in a million chance somebody can do that. That's not. You don't see that every day in football.
Yeah. So blocked the field goal, and a fellow Giants defender or special teams player, I should say, returned it all the way for a touchdown, which was a 10-point swing, which actually was the difference because that field goal would have tied the game up at the time of when they took that field goal. But instead, they get blocked and the Giants score a touchdown. So they won 29-20. Daniel Jones had 257 yards, 23 of 34, and two touchdowns. No interceptions, no Malik Neighbors either.
Dude.
So that was a great game for him without his number one receiver. And Geno Smith had 284 yards, 28 of 40, and one touchdown. Yeah, let's talk about the last game here we had this week, which was the Green Bay Packers at the LA Rams, where they went to LA in SoFi Stadium, beat them by 5, 24-19. Matthew Stafford, in his loss, had 260 yards, 29 of 45, one touchdown, one interception. Reminder, this is still without Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, both still dealing with injury. And Jordan Love had 224 yards, 15 of 26, two touchdowns, and one interception, which I actually want to talk about. Remember when I mentioned about the in the Colts game how the tackle was kind of like a Will Levis type of tackle that he would try to make because we need some funny moments? Well, Jordan Love here on his interception throw, editor Tony can put this up. He was trying to avoid getting a safety.
Oh
So
boy.
he throws it perfectly to a Rams defender who takes it in for the 6-yard pick six. So, yeah.
That's crazy.
That was indeed a crazy play. Editor Tony, obviously, thank you for putting it up there. And yeah, let's move on. All right, let's move on here.
Moving on.
Yep. To the week 5 standings in the NFL. Few changes. First off, Commanders and Bills still lead their respective conferences in their East. Commanders are 4-1, while the Cowboys are 3-2 right behind them. And the Bills are 3-2, while the Jets and Dolphins are 2-3. In the West, the Seahawks have lost 2 straight and are now 3-2. In the NFC, Cardinals and Niners are both 2-3. And in the AFC, the Chiefs are still undefeated at 5-0.
Yeah.
With the Broncos the closest team at 3-2. And then in the North,
your Vikings are undefeated 5-0.
while the Lions are 3-1, they had a bye recently, so they are still 3-1. While in the AFC, the Ravens are 3-2, which is tied with the Steelers. But due to the fact that the Ravens beat the Bengals, that is a division rival, so tiebreaker kicks in, so the Ravens lead the AFC North.
Yep.
And to wrap it up, in the South, the Falcons are 3-2, which is tied with the Buccaneers, who are also 3-2. But because the Falcons have beat the Saints and the Buccaneers, they have the tiebreaker all over all of them for division rivals. And in the AFC South, the Texans are 4-1, the Colts are 2-3, so they are ahead by a good amount still, 2 games minimum. Moving on, here is our injury report. I'm just going to say this now. Injury reports will be a separate video starting from now on Thursday mornings. You
Because
can expect to see
tell them why.
Thursday mornings you can expect to see a video come out from us, from me. I will be giving out injury reports. Sometimes in the past when I've written down uncertain for the status on the players, it's because they just haven't released the exact status, and literally hours after we finish recording, the news breaks out that so and so is out for the season, or so and so will be returning despite suffering a big injury, or that this person is out for 3 weeks. So then a lot of news breaks out after our recording, so I like to update you guys on the day of Thursday night football, but in the mornings, probably morning Pacific, maybe like 1 p.m. Eastern. Not sure what exact time yet, but definitely expect injury reports on Thursdays from now on instead of on the JOTO Show. We will still have pick six here for when there is enough season-ending injuries to talk about every 3 weeks.
Yeah, there will be some videos I will do myself about sports too. I don't know when yet. I'm not. If we don't put it on here, we'll do it separately. We'll do some separate videos.
And we will be sure to let you guys know on that.
Yeah. Moving on.
Yep. Now we must move on to our college football recap. This is week 6. We talk about every ranked team. And starting off, we have
5
probably the
points.
upset of the year.
Wow, 5 points. Number 1 in the country lost since not ranked. Oh, by 5.
Yeah, Alabama Crimson Tide went to Vanderbilt and lost 35-40.
That's a nice logo. It's a star with a V.
It was a great game. I was actually watching a little bit of it.
No overtime either.
No overtime. The Commodores, after the game, They went and took off the goalpost and carried it around the city.
Next.
Next game here we had the Iowa Hawkeyes visiting Ohio
Yeah,
State.
not pricing about this game, 35-7. Not pricing. The first game was a surprise. Probably
For
shocked a
sure.
lot of people.
Next game we had Tennessee ranked
And
4th.
wow, no upset game.
Yeah, this was another upset. They lost to the Arkansas Razorbacks.
19-14. Wow.
Yeah.
Next.
Next game. This we keep going upset and then expected result and then upset expected result with the Georgia Bulldogs hosting the
Two
Auburn Tigers
upsets
and
and two spec up games. Next.
yep,
No
and then
spec
we
up game.
had another expected game here with the ranked 6 Oregon Ducks taking on the Michigan State Spartans, not Michigan. It's Michigan State. Yeah, they won 31-10. And to finish this first page, we had Penn State hosting the UCLA Bruins and winning 27-11.
Ooh.
Yeah, I was watching this game, really close game. It came down to the wire. Cal had a good lead against Miami. But in the end, 8th ranked Miami Hurricanes went to Cal and defeated the Golden Bears 39-38. Then we had 2 ranked teams go head to head against each other, with the lower ranked team winning by a good margin. 9th ranked Missouri only scored 10 points against Texas A&M. Ooh, another upset. Forgot this was an upset.
By 10
We
points.
had, yep, we had the 10th ranked Michigan Wolverines going over to Washington and
27 to
losing by 10 to
17.
the Huskies.
Wow.
Yep,
I know upset too.
another upset. USC Trojans went over to Minnesota and lost to the Golden Gophers by a touchdown, 24-17.
Not upset.
You had the Ole Miss Rebels, ranked 12th, taking on the South Carolina Gamecocks and winning 27-3. And then to finish our second page here, we had Clemson, ranked 15th, going over to Florida State and beating the Seminoles 29-13. Our final page here of ranked teams, we start with this great game from Iowa State, where the Cyclones hosted Baylor, winning 43-21.
Speaking of high score games,
Speaking of high scoring games, we had Boise State, ranked 21.
Utah State, right?
Yep, beat Utah State 62-30. Then we had
Ooh,
another upset here
SMU.
with 22 ranked Louisville losing by a touchdown to SMU. Mustangs scoring 34. Cardinals only mustering up
I knew that was SMU because
27.
Bengals, Bearcats used to be in their conference, SMU conference,
Mm.
American Conference.
And then we had another pretty high scoring game here with Indiana going over to Northwestern and beating those Wildcats 41-24.
I know
And to
upset.
finish it off, we had the Syracuse Orange defeating the UNLV Rebels in overtime by 3, 44-41.
Why did, oh wait, there's two 25 ranks, or that was a 24 rank?
No, it's 225 ranks because they were tied in the voting.
Okay.
I mentioned that last week.
Week 6. NCAA
More
week.
stuff. We have more things to talk about. Like our highest total, as mentioned with Syracuse versus UNLV, they went to overtime, and they were our highest scoring overtime of 85 total points. Then we had our biggest differential here with Tulane defeating UAB by 51 points, 71-20. And then we mentioned this game earlier too. Our highest total without overtime was actually a total of 92. And that was obviously the Boise State game we mentioned, where they scored 62 and Utah State scored 30. As for our teams, San Jose State handled business against Nevada, winning 35-31. And the Cincinnati Bearcats
Has a bye.
had a
It
bye
had a
week,
bye week. Every
so they
post
did
it.
not play.
Tony, keep that in the video. Tony, editor Tony.
You got it, boss.
The
As
top.
for our buys in the top 25, there was 8 of them that didn't play this week. Let's look at them. We had second ranked Texas Longhorns, 13th ranked LSU Tigers, 14th ranked Notre Dame Fighting Irish, 17th ranked BYU Cougars, 18th ranked Utah Utes, 19th ranked Oklahoma Sooners, 20th ranked Kansas State Wildcats, and 24th ranked Illinois Fighting Illinois.
That was a mouthful.
That was a mouthful, but now it's our AP top 25 for week 7. Here you can see our new rankings, some changes, some new people, some teams that are out.
Alabama went to number 1 to number 7. Wow.
Yep, one loss to Vandy can do that to you. But quickly skimming it, Texas moves up to 1, Ohio State up to 2, Oregon moves up to 3, Penn State up to 4, Georgia at 5, believe stays the same. Miami goes up to 6. Alabama, as just mentioned, because of that upset, moves down all the way to 7. Tennessee moves down to 8. Ole Miss moves up to 9th. Clemson to 10th, moves up 5 spots. And a tie for 11th here with Iowa State and Notre Dame, sharing the same amount of votes in the poll. And then LSU moves to stays at 13th. My bad. BYU moving up to 14th. Texas A&M up to 15, 10 spots after beating Missouri, who's over at 21. We'll mention them in a second. Utah moves 2 spots up to 16th. Boise State moves up to 17th. Indiana moves up to 18th, which is tied with 2 others, those being Kansas State and Oklahoma. And then Missouri, as mentioned, moves down to 21.
It's been.
And our first new member is Pitt, who beat UNC 34-24. And over at 25th, we have SMU, who, as mentioned, beat Louisville 34-27. But to round off the rest of them, we have Illinois at 23 and Michigan down to 24. As for our teams that are out, reminder, we technically had 26 teams, which is why we have one more team out than new. These 3 teams all lost. We mentioned these games already. They were the Trojans, who lost to Minnesota by a touchdown, Louisville, who lost to SMU by a touchdown, and the Rebels of UNLV losing to Syracuse by 3 points in overtime.
The MLB playoffs.
Yeah. So a lot has changed since we last checked in on them. I believe we finished our wild card this week after last episode with the Mets, Padres, Royals, and Tigers all making it. Only one home team, or one, yeah, only one four seed made it. No 3 seeds made it, and everyone else was either a 5 or a 6 seed. Made it to the divisional, where we have already started. Everyone's won a game at least once. So every series is split except for the National League, where the Mets recently won today 7-2, and the Padres won 6-5. So both of them take a 2-1 lead against their respective opponents. Well, the NHL season has officially started as of today. Actually, as of October 4th, actually. We had 2 games played in Czechia, and it was the same opponents of the New Jersey Devils and the Buffalo Sabres, where the Devils won both of their games 4-1 and 1-3, respectively. And then we had opening night. So we had the St. Louis Blues defeating the Seattle Kraken in Seattle 3-2.
Kraken.
We had the Boston Bruins at Florida beating the Panthers, or losing to the Panthers, sorry, 6-4. I wasn't even looking at the score. I read it off the screen right now.
Yeah, I know.
And then we had the Chicago Blackhawks going to Utah, the first ever inaugural game for Utah and their hockey club. They won it 5-2 against the Blackhawks. So, first game ever for this team, and they won 5-2. Good job, Utah. Formerly Arizona. All right, let's move on to the WNBA playoffs, where a lot has happened since we last checked in. We have our finals matchup now. But let's see how we got here. To start off, when we first checked in, Minnesota and Connecticut were 1-1. New York was up against the Aces 2-0. And that was the last time we checked in. Minnesota Lynx won their next game 90-81 to make it 2-1. New York Liberty lost to the Aces 95-81 to make that series 2-1. Then in their next game, the Liberty sealed the deal and won 76-62 to clinch the first spot in the WNBA finals. Whereas the Lynx, going over to Connecticut, or staying in Connecticut, dropped a game by 10 points, 82-92. So series was tied, and this is best of 5. So heading into today, this game happened already. Heading into this game, it was win or go home. And at home, the Lynx won by 11, 88-77, defeating the Connecticut Sun and moving on to the WNBA championship, which final start Thursday, where the Minnesota Lynx will be at New York to take on the Liberty. And game 2 will be on Sunday. I believe game 3 is on Wednesday. So we'll definitely update you guys.
Okay.
Moving on to the Premier League. One more soccer. Starting off, let's get through this top 10 real quick. Liverpool in first. They have 6 wins, no draws, and a loss. Behind them is a tie for second, Man City and Arsenal. At least record-wise of 5 wins, 2 draws, and no losses. Looking at goal differential and goals for, Man City has the slight advantage. Then we have Chelsea and Aston Villa at 4, 2, and 1. Brighton and Newcastle at 3-3-1. Fulham at 3-2-2, and Tottenham at 3-1-3. And rounding off our top 10 is Nottingham Forest at 2-4-1. And then our bottom half here, we have Brentford at 3-1-3. West Ham, Bournemouth, and Man United at 2-2-3. Leicester City at 1-3-3. Everton at 1-2-4. Ipswich Town at 0 wins, 4 draws, and 3 losses. Crystal Palace at 0 wins, 3 draws, and 4 losses. And Southampton and Wolves at no wins, 1 draw, 6 losses for a total of 1 point each.
Next.
But it's everyone's favorite part of this show. It's our
I already,
predictions and our current standings.
I already saw the Sanders.
Yep. I'm the one that wrote them
Oh,
down too, so I
I
already know.
know. He flipped art backwards. It's backwards for both of us. I have more wins this week than loss.
Yep. He has two more wins than me this week. At 8-6, I went 6-8.
Totals.
And he takes a 4-win advantage above me. I am behind by 4 games, and I'm gonna need
Well, let's see
a
who
miracle.
we have to figure out. Whoever who wins out of this has to have something.
That is true.
Moving on. NFL Week 6 buys. The two undefeated teams, Kansas City Chiefs and Minnesota Vikings, are 5-0. They have their bye week with the Dolphins and Rams.
Yeah. Rams need this bye. Missing their 2 wide receivers, they get an extra week for them to heal.
Vikings and Kansas doesn't need this bye at
They
all.
really don't. They have all the momentum. They honestly, this bye
Yeah,
hurts them more than helps them.
yeah. I hope it does help. I hope it doesn't help them. This bye doesn't help
Um,
them. We'll see what happens in week
and
7.
yeah, and the Dolphins need this too because Tua obviously still out.
Yeah,
So
Rams and Dolphins really need this bye. I agree with that.
they have a lot of injuries. So yeah.
Moving on.
But let's move on to our first iteration. No,
Thursday night.
to our first game here. It's Thursday night football. San Francisco 49ers at 2-3, taking on the Seattle
Ooh.
Seahawks at 3-2.
See if they can win the loudest saying there is. So the Niners can handle it, the sound.
Yeah.
They
This
say
is
if you go there, you probably will lose your earring. That's how loud it is. It's louder than any other
I
sound there
bet.
is in the NFL.
I bet.
Okay, so you can go ahead.
Um
It's your team.
yeah. This is Brock Purdy versus Geno Smith, which is their 5th meeting all time between each other.
I will be watching this game.
Me too. Seahawks all time have the better record against the Niners. 30-22 is their record against the Niners. Well, more recently, it's been the Niners with it. Brock Purdy is 4-0 against the Seahawks, which makes Geno Smith 0-4 against the Niners because they always clashed. Um, yeah, with a win here, the Niners will be tied record-wise with the Seahawks, and I believe that will put them ahead to lead the division, but that would be needing a win here on Thursday night, so we'll see.
Next is your London game.
We have another London game for you guys. This week, it is the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Chicago Bears. Jags, as we know, got their first win last week and now are 1-4. As the Bears have 3 wins this season already, 3-2. This is a great start for Caleb. This is Trevor Lawrence versus Caleb, which would be their first meeting against each other. The all-time record for the Jaguars is not a good one against the Bears. The Bears are ahead 5-3, but they have barely met. So, yeah. A better stat for the Jaguars though is that they are 6-5 in London. They have 6 wins, 5 losses in London, so maybe potentially they can make it 7 or just make it even and have it 6-6. We'll see. 6:30 in the morning Pacific time, 9:30 Eastern. So if you want to catch this game, set your alarms
I'm not
to
gonna watch
very
this
early.
game. I
Knowing
got
me, I'll probably wake up early.
the one time I got up early for the Bengals game. The one time they were winning a couple years ago. That's when Andy Dalton was on the team.
Mm-hmm.
This is my team. Sunday Night Football taking on New York Giants. The Bengals lost last week. Wow, I am so tired. Lost last week, and the Giants won last week. We'll see who wins. This is the first time Joe Burrow played against the New York Giants.
Oh, I was gonna mention that. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, as mentioned by my co-host here, Joe Burrows, this is his first time going against the Giants. This is also Daniel Jones' first time going against the
Co-host
Bengals.
Joe Burrow.
Huh?
You just called me your co-host Joe Brewer.
No, I said as my co-host mentioned,
Oh,
Joe Burrow.
okay. I tell you nothing.
All time, the Bengals are 6-5 against the Giants, so they could the Giants can win and make this 500, or the Bengals can improve to 7-5 all time, and maybe even 2-4. But we'll see Sunday night.
Yeah, Monday Night Football. New York's just taking on New. No, just kidding. Buffalo Bills. Wait, New York Jets and New York Giants are both home.
Uh huh.
Wow. And they share the field.
Yep. They're playing back-to-back nights, Sunday night and then Monday night here. Jets will be hosting Bills. As we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, Robert Saleh was fired for the Jets head coaching job. But we'll see how the defensive coordinator, the interim head coach, former defensive coordinator, will do against Josh Allen and the Bills, who are hungry for a win after losing 2 straight. This is Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen. This is their 4th meeting all time. 3 of them were when Rodgers was a Packer. So, yeah. Bills have the higher record against the Jets all time. 69-58 is the current record. Josh Allen against the Jets is 7-4. As for Aaron Rodgers, he is 2-2 against the Bills all time. This is without including the Monday night win that they had last season, because he only played 4 snaps. I'm not counting it. So we'll see how Aaron does against Josh Allen as a Jet, taking on the Bills. And yeah,
I am
let's
going
move
to
on.
watch Sunday Night Football. I will be watching that
Oh, I
twice.
bet you will.
I'll have it on the.
Twice?
Yeah, because I will have a movie projector on my wall. Yeah, I did that when we had the Super Bowl at on 2 different areas.
Mm.
Moving
Moving on to
on,
our final part here. It's our week 6 picks. And yeah, let's just take a look. Starting with, well, we'll show both, but Jay Lakers, you start
I have
as always.
Seahawks, Chicago, Packers, Tampa Bay, Houston, New Orleans, Philly, Washington, Denver, Pittsburgh, Dallas, Atlanta, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cincinnati, and I have Buffalo Bills.
Interesting.
I just noticed your check marks are different than my check marks.
Yeah, there's like 5. Oh, you mean the check marks? Yeah.
Yeah.
different. Yeah, but I'm seeing like 5 different games here. I think maybe 6. I
Wow,
don't know.
wow. Oh, Nikes.
I mean, I have a lot of away teams winning for some reason. Let's see here.
We both have,
I have
sorry, go ahead.
San Francisco instead of Seattle. We both have Chicago and Green Bay winning their games. I have Indianapolis beating Tennessee. Uh, Houston. I got Tampa Bay over New Orleans. Both have Philly. Both have Washington. I got the Chargers instead of Denver. Both have Pittsburgh. I have Detroit instead of Dallas. Both have Atlanta. Both have Cincinnati, and we both have Buffalo for Monday night.
Oh, Editor Tony, please keep that in what I just did on my side. You will see what I. Moving on.
Thanks for watching, y'all. This has been a eventful episode 6. This one came out very late in terms
Editor
of when we
Tony
recorded it.
has a lot of work, and then that Tony, whatever we call him, whatever. What do you call him?
I don't even know what I call him.
The slider.
The slide maker Tony slacking.
Yeah, and then you guys will see Jay Lakers blooper edit.
Yep, you'll see the blooper reel from us eventually from editor J Lakers. So be on the lookout. We're gonna upload more than just a weekly podcast.
Different stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes he will do stuff, I'll do stuff. And the bloopers will be not an hour, it will be separate videos.
It'll be a little shorter
Yeah.
videos.
Yes.
Maybe on a separate YouTube channel. We'll see. We're thinking about that.
Or on this one.
Maybe this one we'll see, because some bloopers do involve few curse words that we wouldn't want on the JOTO show here. Like I said, we'll see. Injury reports coming out Thursday.
That will be Tony do that. I will wait for that come out.
Yep. That'll help a lot with our understanding of who's in, who's out. Probably would have been better to know who's in, who's out before we made our predictions. But of course, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah. Thanks for watching, and Jay Lakers hit him with the outro.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, and put a notification bell on this channel, and follow us on X and Instagram, and join our Discord, and subscribe to my 3 channels. YouTube channels will be in the description, and Tony's 3 channels in the description. And don't forget to follow us on social media also. Separate social media. We'll look into down the social. If it's not down there, we'll put it down there. I'll say this one last time. This is Josh, aka Shea Lakers. Tony Baloney, aka Tony Baloney. See you next time. Bye.